Welcome to the Don't Get Fooled Show with Big Winners College Football Week 11. Let's go, Ace.
Bam. All right, boys and girls, we got college football Week 11. Cannot wait. Coming off a 4-2 week last week during Week 10 and looking to keep the money train rolling for Week 11. Cannot wait. So without further ado, here we go, boys and girls. Aquí vamos, chicos y chicas. Let's go. All right, game one. We got California at Louisville. Louisville is a 19.5-point favorite. Cal 5-4, coming off a 31-21 loss to Virginia. They are currently on a 2-game losing streak. They started 3-0, but they're 2-4 since. Their best win comes against a 6-3 Minnesota team. Quarterback SKS. This guy is young, but inconsistent, but he can play. I like his game. And then we got Louisville, who is 7-1. They're coming off a 28-16 win versus Virginia Tech. They were actually down 16-7 at halftime in this game. They are currently on a 3-game winning streak. Their only loss is a 30-27 overtime loss to Virginia. Their best win is versus Miami, 24-21 at Miami. And here's my thoughts. Both teams have very balanced offenses and defense. But Louisville just has a lot more talent than Cal. And, otherwise, Cal has not seen this type of talent than Louisville has. And Louisville has the stud beast running back, Isaac Brown. This guy's averaging about 8 yards per carry. I like him to tear up the Cal defense. They're at home. This is a big game for them for playoff implications. And I'm taking Louisville minus 19.5. All right, game 2. We got Ohio State at Purdue. Ohio State is a 29.5-point favorite. Ohio State 8-0, coming off a 38-14 win versus Penn State. They're on an 8-game winning streak. They did have their best wins. They did beat a kind of a beat-up Penn State team. They beat Illinois, and they beat Minnesota. Their quarterback, Julian Sayer, 80% completion rate, 2,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions on the season. And then we got Purdue, who's 2-7, coming off a 21-16 loss to Michigan. They started 2-0, and they're currently on a 7-game losing streak. Just a really, really bad team. They gave up 56 points, big lead to Notre Dame. And here's my thoughts here. Ohio State has only given up over 10 points to 2 teams on the season. They gave up 14 to Penn State and 16 to Illinois. And if you look at both teams scheduled this far in the season, you're going to look at this and be like, hey, Purdue is at home. They don't give up a lot of points. And they easily should cover this plus 29.5. And all I can say is don't get fooled here, boys and girls. Do not get fooled. I like Ohio State to put up maybe between 38 to 45 points. I don't think Purdue's going to score more than 7. I like Ohio State to cover this. I'm taking Ohio State minus 29.5. All right, game 3. We got Syracuse at Miami. Miami is a 28.5-point favorite. Syracuse 3-6, coming off a 27-10 loss to North Carolina. They were 3-1, and then they've been 0-5 since. And they have not scored more than 18 points in their last 5 games. Their starting QB, Angeli, went out, and now they are actually, as of last game, they have started their 4th-string quarterback, a walk-on quarterback who is a lacrosse player. I don't know what the hell the coach is doing. Started a lacrosse player. He went 4 for 18 for, I believe, 39 yards. complete joke. And then we got Miami 6-2 coming off a 26-20 loss in overtime to SMU. That was my pick last week. They actually outgained SMU 433 to 388. But they had 2 turnovers in this game, 12 penalties, and they are 2-3 since their 5-0 start. And here's my thoughts here. Miami has a really good defense. I do like their defense, and they are at home. Syracuse is starting a walk-off QB, a walk-on QB, Big Ree. And Coach Fran Brown has completely lost the respect of the entire team and all the players there. When you start a walk-on QB that's a lacrosse player because you want to change it up, your team is going to feel like they have no chance. Why are we even going to play? You've demoralized the entire team here. Miami, they need a big win to even have an outside chance of making the playoffs here. This is my lock of the week. I'm taking Miami minus 28.5. I'm going to hand it off to Big Ree. Big Ree is on fire. He had a 3-0 week in college football, 3-0 week in NFL, and so he swept the books last week, 6-0. All right, Big Ree, let's go.
The first game I got is Tulane at Memphis. Friday night game, Friday Night Lights. Tulane 6-2 coming off a blowout loss to UTSA. Memphis 8-1 coming off a 38-14 win versus Rice. Memphis' one loss comes versus UAB, and their best win comes versus Arkansas by 1 point, and their second best win comes versus South Florida, where they won 34-31, only by 3 points. Other wins come versus Chattanooga, Georgia State, Troy, Florida Atlantic, Tulsa, and last week, which was Rice. Nothing impressive there at all. Memphis quarterback Brandon Lewis is not playing that good. His best game come versus South Florida, and their run game is mediocre at best. And the running back Greg DeRocher has had one good game where he had 204 yards. Nothing else over 74 yards since then. Tulsa's 2 losses come versus Ole Miss and UTSA, which is not acceptable on UTSA, but I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think, and I'm taking Tulane +7. The second game I got is Texas A&M at Missouri. Texas A&M 8-0 coming off a bye week. Last game versus LSU, they blew them out 49-25. Missouri also coming off a bye week. Last game was versus Vanderbilt, where they lost 17-10. Missouri's 2 losses come versus at Vanderbilt and at home versus Alabama, where they lost by 3. Best win comes versus South Carolina. Marcel Reed has been playing amazing. Missouri did keep it close versus Alabama, but that score looks a lot closer than it was because they backdoor covered at the end. And I like Texas A&M here. They win by double digits easily. I'm taking Texas A&M. That's my lock of the week. The last game I got is Georgia at Mississippi State. Georgia 7-1 coming off a 24-20 win versus Florida. Mississippi State coming off a 38-35 win at Arkansas. Mississippi State looked great offensively, but not so much defensively, giving up 35 points. Georgia's win last week was a tough one and one of the hardest places to play at the Swamp. And the score looks a lot closer than it was. Quarterback Carson Beck took a knee at the 1. They could have scored a touchdown.
Stockton,
sorry.
Yeah.
And so I think Georgia bounces back here, and I'm going to take Georgia -7.5.
Bam. All right, boys and girls, let's keep the money train rolling for week 11. Anything else you want to throw in, Big Ree?
That's it. Peace out, guys.